Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. So what I actually wanted to do was give my full review, full opinion on the KW V3 coilovers. I have about 1,000 miles on them now, so what I actually wanted to do was give you my thoughts, opinions, feedback. You know, was it worth getting rid of the EDC? Is it firmer than stock? You know, is it worth getting rid of your stock M suspension to go with a, aftermarket solution? So what we're gonna do is hop in the car, go for a drive, and I'm just kind of discuss what I feel, kind of what I think overall. Now, just to reiterate, I got the KW V3 coilovers with the EDC delete kit. I did not go with the DDC. This video is just purely going to be my review, my thoughts, opinions on the KW V3 coilover system. All right, so KW V3 coilovers with the EDC delete kit. I did a full video explaining as to why I chose them, and I also did a full installation video, and I also did an alignment video so you guys can see kind of exactly where I am in terms of height and specs and all that. Because doing this whole YouTube thing, I've realized a lot of people always ask questions about ride height, about fitment. So I did all those videos to help, you guys out so you can see exactly where my car is sitting and, overall with the fitment and all that. So one of the great things obviously about the F80 M3, the F80X, is that you do get the EDC, at least if you optioned your car with that. For me, I'm kind of old school when it comes to suspension. I really enjoy just getting in the car and driving. This car is not my daily driver, so I wasn't as concerned about keeping the EDC. I really didn't need the, adjustability with that, by the press of a button. So I have no regrets going with the EDC delete. Obviously, I can still adjust the suspension with the dials and everything on the actual coilovers, but obviously it's more manual. I can't just press the button and change it. That's up to you. I do recommend if your car is a daily driver that going with the KW V3 DDC may be a better option for you, but we're talking an extra $1,500 to $2,000 just to keep that functionality. Another thing that I heard about the DDC model is that the 3 modes that you can change to aren't that different. There's not a really big drastic difference. So that's kind of why I decided not to go with it, and it not being my daily driver was a big reason as to why I decided to delete it. Now, I got the little kit that you simply just plug into the stock plugs, and there's no error lights, everything functions as normal, and the car thinks there's no issues and the EDC is still there. Now, let's go over the ride. Is it comfortable? Is it rough? Is it really a big difference from stock? And I am absolutely blown away at this whole entire setup. I think it rides beautiful, and to be completely honest, it rides night and day better than stock suspension. The M Performance, EDC suspension setup is good, but it's nothing to write home about. I did think it was a little jarring, a little bumpy, pretty loud to be completely honest. It almost sounded like something was kind of broken in the front in a way. I wasn't a big fan of it. Although it's still good, I definitely knew it can be improved with going with a proper coilover setup. Now, I've taken this car on longer trips. I don't drive too far, but I've gone on like 100-mile trips, and I was just absolutely blown away how comfortable the car felt. I have not touched the damping or the rebound or the bump or anything like that. I just kind of left it at the factory settings for now. I do plan on kind of messing with that soon, but I was just so happy with the overall ride comfort that I really didn't feel the need to change anything up. I do think that it does need to be bumped up a little bit in terms of the firmness when you are driving more aggressively, but for driving around every day and just having fun on some back roads, this is absolutely perfect from the factory. Some say that it is a little bit firmer overall than stock when you're in Sport Plus mode, but to be completely honest, that is all I drove in with the stock suspension. I never even bothered to take it out of Sport Plus because I just preferred the way that the car felt in Sport Plus. So going from pretty much driving in Sport Plus 24/7 to the KW V3s, there's really not much of a difference. And again, I honestly think it rides better than stock. I think it's way more compliant. It feels way more in control. I don't feel like I'm kind of bouncing everywhere. If you've seen videos of me driving the car, one of which is going to get my alignment, I'm driving 75, 80 miles an hour or whatever on the highway, and you see the car completely composed. You don't see me bumping around like on a cheaper coilover setup or a cheaper car or anything like that. It is very, very chill, very relaxed. I would not mind driving at this height with this suspension every single day. I think it's absolutely perfect. I have some experience with the KWs before. I actually ran the KW V2s in my E46 M3 for many years. I love them. That's one of the main reasons why I decided to go with the V3s on this car, is because I had such a great experience. If you guys have been following me, you guys may know that I was originally planning to go with the sleeve over kit. I was kind of back and forth on that. Now, I do think that's a nice option, but considering at the height that I wanted to get and, you know, more adjustability, I decided to sell that off and go with the V3s, and I am so happy I decided to go that route. I do think that is the right way to do it if you want to dial your F80 M3 in or your M4. You know, you can really get to the height that you want. You can dial in the feel that you want. I love this suspension setup so much. The install was incredibly simple. I did it myself in the garage. And, you know, if you guys follow that video along, you can do it yourself too. It took me about 2 days, and I was taking my time just doing it myself in the garage, and I really enjoyed the process. Now, in terms of overall performance, I mean, I've taken this thing on back roads and really kind of hammered down on it, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, the F80 M3 or M3s in general handle extremely well from the factory, but just pairing it with the KW V3s, it's like the cherry on top. It really makes this car feel like something super special. Now, I will say, if you are geared more towards tracking your car on the weekends, or you're a big track junkie, I would recommend going with a more, I guess, aggressive setup. I would obviously suggest going with something a little bit more heavy duty. This is kind of perfect for the street driving, back road kind of setup. These are progressive springs as opposed to linear. Progressive meaning that it kind of stiffens up as you drive harder and it compresses, whereas linear kind of holds that spring rate, you know, and stays in that same spot. But for 99% of people that use this suspension and use these cars, the KW V3s is 100% the route to go. Now, I was considering the Olin Road and Track, like many of you have considered, that may be in the similar category, and I think that's a great setup as well, but I don't think I would be able to get to the ride height that I wanted. Olin's recommends running a little bit higher than, you know, what most people would like to do, lowering this car, especially me. I wanted to go with something that was kind of tried and true, something I had experience with, something that I knew, you know, despite how low I wanted to go, that it was going to be a comfortable ride. It wasn't going to sacrifice the overall performance. And again, I think the KW V3s is it. Now, this setup overall costs around $3,500. So honestly, it's really not too bad considering the more expensive setups out there. The KW V3 DDC, which is the one with the EDC that you can plug right in, is around $5 grand. Anything more expensive like JRZs or Motons, you know, you're looking to some pretty darn expensive, you know, double digits. So for the kind of back road carver, kind of everyday driving around, having some fun, I think the KW V3 is at a bargain. All right, so just got some gas, Shell 93, but let's get back on the road and talk about the suspension some more. So one thing that I actually noticed on the stock suspension is, you know, if there's something in the road or you're taking a really quick turn, you need to make some adjustments, the car almost felt like it was lagging. You know, you would turn and then the car would go. It almost felt like it was top heavy and it kind of leaned and then you would go. But with the KW V3s, you know, any input that I make, the car just instantly goes. It feels way more direct. It feels way more like the car should feel. You know, this is electronic steering, which is kind of my first experience with it. I mean, I've driven other cars with it, but first car I've ever owned with electronic steering. So it was a little bit of an adjustment to me, but after putting the KW V3s on, I really felt like the car is almost hydraulic. I feel like the car feels like the way it should be, you know, with a hydraulic steering. And I love that. I love the change. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it. So driving around and then feeling that right away, I was pleasantly surprised. It was something, again, that I wasn't expecting. So it just made it that much better for me. One little note that I wanted to mention is that I'm not running any aftermarket camber plates or camber arms or anything like that. And being as low as I am, which is pretty decently low, I'm over 2 inches lower in the front and about a little over an inch in the rear. So pretty darn low. It's about 2.5 inches from the ground, from the front lip. I was able to get back into factory spec. So I'm only negative 1.5 in the front and negative 1.9 in the rear, which falls in factory spec. So if you really need to dial it in for the track, I do recommend putting some camber plates on. But if you want to keep noise to a minimum, I definitely recommend running these stock top hats. It's exactly what I did. There's no extra noises or clunking or anything like that. So if you are track oriented, obviously I would recommend picking up some proper camber plates. But for every single day like myself and just driving on some back roads, the stock top hats are totally fine and you're able to get back within factory spec. So I will say, if anybody is on the fence about going with the KW V3s, even with the EDC Delete kit, and you're kind of up in the air, I 110% recommend it. I think it is one of, if not the best route to go if you want to remove the stock suspension and go with a proper coilover setup. Suspension on any car is something that I do feel that you should not cheap out on. I have done that in the past in my younger days where I went with the cheaper option, and it ended up me spending way more money because I ended up selling that cheaper suspension off, losing money on that, and then buying what I really wanted. So with this car, I wanted to make sure I did it right the first time, and I can truly say going with the KW V3s is definitely the route that I should have went right away. All right, guys, so I'm going to wrap the video up here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. KW V3s, again, I could not recommend them enough. Absolutely amazing. I love the ride height, the feel, the performance, even the look of them, everything installed beautifully. So if you're on the fence about getting rid of your stock suspension and going with something like this, I could not recommend it enough. I picked mine up from Envision Tuning, from Bryant. I have been working with him for a very long time with my Subaru and now my M3, also my truck as well. And if you guys are looking for some great prices, highly recommend picking them up from him. So if you guys have any questions at all, be sure to ask them below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.